I think Henny will be quite happy that I start with passing out the amendment and introducing an amendment that's the formulation of some of the concerns from any of the leaders, longtime leaders who heard tonight. Here's some copies this way. And it was referenced by Mr. Terrence Allen, who's the chair of the San Francisco State Cannabis Task Force. And really what's in the packet is pretty straightforward with respect to the notion of this party joining the list of organizations that have looked at the Adult Use of Marijuana Act and said they're going to support it. I think based on the conversations both from the first time this went on, that I brought it up at the last ITp6 meeting and certainly when it came on the agenda, is San Francisco. I think we have an opportunity to do this a little bit differently than, say, the Los Angeles ITp6 or even some of the organizations that have jumped in on this, ACLU being the most recent. And one of the things I want to say about the Adult Use of Marijuana Act is people have to know, and we've heard from speakers here tonight, and I know I've heard from folks too, that there's a sense that the act that's before us is not a product of the best process possible. There's been a lot of different efforts to get to this notion, which is to regulate adult use. This is a civil rights issue. My background is a civil rights attorney. The impact of the failed war on drugs discriminates against communities of color. It disproportionately impacts disadvantaged communities. And it is a civil rights issue, how we address regulation. So we have a situation where what's on the ballot now, I've heard from some people who feel that there is definitely an array of concerns that have been talked about tonight, some of which are codified in the amendment that was presented, that I kind of want to get a gut check from some of the folks that have testified about whether this amendment that's been presented and it's been discussed with a really important community leader in the medical cannabis community, Michelle Aldrich, who had the chance to talk with for an hour and to work through this particular amendment and get her thoughts, because we have a unique opportunity here. The fact is that for adult use of cannabis, right now there is no regulation, but it's occurring, and it is criminalized and discriminates. We've long sought, a lot of people in this room, advocates, Supervisor Campos mentioned it, have sought to create a pathway to regulation, to bring it out of the gray area, to bring it out of a realm which creates safety considerations, which creates these civil rights injustices that we're talking about, and create regulation. We don't have an act that I think even a lot of supporters would say is perfect. So what people are looking to is people are looking to language that is going to provide and create organizing necessities around working directly with our state legislators, some of which have already endorsed this, some of which are here on this committee here, some of which you've had a chance to talk to. But there is the ability within this act to do something that's, I think, particular to San Francisco, which is enumerate some of the concerns. And here's four of what seem to be the biggest concerns raised tonight and which were presented for us consideration with the amendment that I presented, which is that the introduction of a second resolve clause that would indicate that it's further resolved that the San Francisco Democratic County Central Committee calls upon members of San Francisco's Sacramento delegation to work with fellow legislators during ALMA implementation to safeguard the rights of patients and the medical cannabis community, utilize ALMA revenue for schools, protect confidentiality of patients and license applicants, and ensure the continuation of cannabis compassion programs, which seem to be some of the things that we heard. I know I was hoping to get a sense from David Goldman, who has a part as a club president, would be able to share in this debate. Obviously, I think that there is, with the potential with the voters deciding on regulation of adult use of cannabis in November, it is an interesting place to be because we do have leverage going into the conversation at the executive board. If we send certain of the values we want to make sure incorporated into the Democratic Party and state Democratic Party's deliberation about this, I think this amendment is a great way to do that. And I also think that the challenge before us also with something like this is we've got to get it right, but we also have to recognize that people are going to be looking at California from legalization perspective, from a regulation of adult use perspective, to see what we do in November. And I think we should find a way to begin the regulation of adult use of cannabis, and this law that we face in November, obviously, we've talked about there's challenges we're gonna have to address in implementation, but I think that this is a good way for us as San Franciscans to codify that, and look forward to the conversation.
Okay, can I hear a
And
motion in a second, and then we can open it up for discussion? So is that a motion by?
Yes, so I've introduced this amendment to the resolution to add as a second resolve to the second resolve.
Who's the second by? Matt Mercy? Okay. All right, so can I open up for discussion? Okay, Mr. Campos, and then Ms. Witnesses.
I simply want to note that I care a lot about this issue, and what I don't understand, and I respect the fact that we're trying to do something here, I don't understand why there's a need to act tonight. I think that we just went through a long process. We've had an election. Whatever you think of the outcome, there will be an opportunity for this body to, once the new body is sworn in, to tackle this issue. And I would simply say I don't understand the need to act tonight. To the extent that this act is deficient, which many people believe it is, the fact that you're calling on legislators to address that deficiency through the implementation of a deficient act doesn't really address the problems. And so that we can come back. And I think that if this goes forward, I think that there will be an opportunity with the newly constituted ITp6 to revisit the issue anyway. So I would simply say let's not act on this. Let's give the ITp6 have more time, have more information.
Thank you. Ms. Davis.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate that. I don't understand the rush. Even though we were told in the committee that this was coming, the public had no knowledge of this until like less than 72 hours ago. I think it was unfair. And however it happened, it's really unfair for the public to find out the very last minute have to come here on such a serious issue. This is a sanctuary city. We treat it differently here. And I know most of you have not read 46 pages. I know you guys haven't educated yourself on what this bill is about. And I don't care if there's some deadline on Saturday for the state. We need to act in the best interest of the citizens of San Francisco. And if you're not educated on this bill and you don't understand this bill, you really shouldn't be voting on it. It's such a disservice.
Yes.
To the community.
That's right.
And if you do look at this 46-page bill, it really doesn't protect the medical marijuana patient's rights as provided under the Compassionate Use Act, which was Proposition 215, which many of these people here have fought for. And this new thing that's coming up in California, this new proposition that's coming, it's standing on the backs of the people who fought for 215. It's standing on the backs of farmers and the clubs that provided the cannabis to very sick patients in San Francisco and through California. They endured raids on their clubs. They endured raids on their homes. They endured raids by the San Francisco police, by the federal government. They went to trial. They were incarcerated. They were in prison. They have fought for years for the right to have medical cannabis free, not free, but reasonable to the residents of the state. And now, because Colorado is making a lot of money, we have huge corporations coming in. We have Soros, Monsanto, and the alcohol industry coming in and backing these bills and writing it in such a way that they're buying the land in Humboldt. They're buying large tracts of land. They're forcing the farmers off the land, and they're setting it up so only they're going to meet the requirements. What I'm hearing is $500,000 for a license that most farmers are not going to be able to afford. I mean, the devil is in the details of this bill, so you cannot just pass it because someone has a deadline. So you need to recognize what this group has done. You need to give them some respect in terms of putting the brakes on and really analyzing what we want to do here. And the most important thing is not to recommend somebody protect the patient's rights and the farmer's rights, but to actually have it done before you make a resolution on it. So, lot of people have talked about the taxes, we talked about the criminalization. I think, they do say that in Colorado, that there's an increase of 58% of juvenile arrests for marijuana, and you know where that's gonna be? It's gonna be in the black and brown communities. It's not gonna be in Nottingham, it's gonna be in the Mission, because we have more contact with police. And it's gonna be in the Bayview, it's gonna be in those communities, and those are the kids that are juvenile hall. They're the majority of kids there. So, you know, you can't just act recklessly, and you just need to put the brakes on. You need to respect this community, and I just can't say that any stronger. I think the community has addressed most of the issues themselves, but, you know, I think we need to really respect them.
So, I'm Eric Foxy today, and Eric called me today saying that he hadn't had a chance to also read all 46 pages of it. And as a proxy, I got a proxy 2 days ago, so I am not as familiar with it. But when I hear that it has the potential to, you know, as someone who is a educational justice advocate and a basic justice advocate, when I hear that it has potential to criminalize black and brown youth and low-income people,
It's true.
It's like 21 in
I'm
the Lord, except for
when I hear that, it does raise a red flag for me, and so I need to hear more to make sure that I'm not going to be voting on something that I'm not fully confident in. So I will be voting no. Eric's asked me to vote my heart on this, and that's where my heart goes, is when I think about criminalizing people of color. So I will be voting no on this as well tonight.
Mr. Dorsey?
So, first I want to apologize again to the sponsor and everybody. It was my fault that this didn't make the 10-day agenda. I'm going to confess that I don't have a lot of expertise on this issue, but I'm also going to say that there's a lot of people who I respect enormously and care about a great deal, none more so than Michelle Aldrich. 3.5 hours ago, I was going to be voting no on this at Michelle's request. And I said to Michelle today, it matters to me what she thinks. And I'm going to give credit to Josh. When I talked to Michelle and said, should we talk to Josh and see if is there some kind of common ground as we go into the executive board, you know, this coming weekend, where this is going to be coming up before the California Democratic Party. Is there something that we as a San Francisco Democratic Party can contribute to the discussion that you, Michelle Aldrich, somebody I respect so much on this issue, would be comfortable with? Josh spoke to her for an hour, and right before I came to this meeting, we had a talk. Terrence Allen and I had a talk. I know that there's some reservations about this, but based on their belief that this is something that is moving because we have some concerns that are being expressed to the California Democratic Party, I think this matters. And I think we have an opportunity before the train leaves the station in terms of public policy to have some concerns from San Francisco captured. There is a deadline coming up because the executive board meets this weekend. You can't postpone that. And I know that there's an issue that I'm working on Michael Weinstein's anti-adult film. You know, that we're all struggling on to make sure the California Democratic Party does the right thing for its endorsements. But where Michelle came down on this and where Terrence came down on this, two people I have enormous respect for, I'm going to be supporting this. I want to thank Josh for working as hard as he did to find some common ground.
Ms. Kelly?
More than a comment, I have a question. Sure. Be it further resolved, there are 4 different things in this be it further resolved. All 4 of them I would agree on. This is about a proposition that is going to be on a ballot. I've been through Airbnb. And when something goes into law, because it's been voted on, it takes a hell of a lot of work to get it fixed.
Yeah.
Thank you. What the heck do these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines that I like and I agree with have to do with the voting on in November. And what good will it